She said it while loading the dishwasher. That's the detail I keep coming back to, not what she said, I'll get to that, but that she was loading the dishwasher while she said it. Rinsing a coffee mug, placing it in the top rack, like she was telling me we were out of milk. I'm seeing Marcus this weekend, you can either accept it and stay out of our way or, she paused, put in a plate, or you can watch, I don't care anymore, Daniel, I really don't. I was standing by the kitchen island, ESPN on in the living room, some basketball game I wasn't watching. I had a beer in my hand, Stella, which she always said was pretentious, and I remember thinking, did she just say what I think she said? Marcus, her college boyfriend, the one she described as the love of her life before we met, the one whose name I'd trained myself not to react to. She closed the dishwasher, pressed start, walked past me toward the stairs. I didn't say anything, couldn't, my brain was still buffering. That was March 14th, a Tuesday, the night my 11-year marriage officially ended, though honestly, looking back, it had been dying for years, I just hadn't wanted to see it. I need to give you context, because that moment in the kitchen didn't come out of nowhere. Things like that never do, they're the final frame of a movie that started playing long before you noticed. Rachel and I met in 2011. We were both 28. She was working at a marketing agency downtown. I was 3 years into my career as a civil engineer. Mutual friend's birthday party at a bar called Mulligan's that doesn't exist anymore. She was wearing a green dress, I remember because I spilled beer on it. Not a little splash, full pint right down the front. She looked down at herself, then up at me and said, "Well, that's one way to introduce yourself." I wanted to disappear. Instead, I offered to pay for dry cleaning and buy her a new drink. She said, "How about you buy me dinner instead, Friday work?" That was Rachel, direct, knew what she wanted. I found it terrifying and irresistible. We dated for 2 years before I proposed, got married in 2014 at her parents' place in Virginia. Small ceremony, 70 guests, her college roommate gave a toast that went on too long. My dad cried, which he'd only done twice before in my life. The first 5 years were good, not perfect, no marriages, but good. We bought a house in 2016, a 3-bedroom in the suburbs of Charlotte. She wanted space for kids. I wanted a garage for projects I'd never actually start. Then came the drift. It's hard to pinpoint when it started. These things don't announce themselves. There's no moment where you think, this is where we begin falling apart. It's gradual, like water wearing down stone. I got promoted in 2018, project manager for a bridge renovation that consumed my life for 18 months, 60-hour weeks, weekend site visits, dinners missed, date nights cancelled. I told myself it was temporary, building our future, she'd understand. She did it first, then she got quieter, I didn't notice. I was tired all the time. We stopped having sex regularly, once a week became twice a month, became whenever we both happened to not be exhausted, which was almost never. She'd try to talk about it. I'd say I was stressed. She'd say okay, we'd watch TV in silence. Looking back, I can see her pulling away, the small things. She stopped asking about my day, stopped texting me funny things she saw, stopped reaching for my hand during movies. But I was too busy to see it, or maybe I didn't want to. Here's the thing I've had to accept, and it's taken me 2 years of therapy to get here. I wasn't a good husband, not at the end. I wasn't cruel or abusive, but I was absent, checked out. I treated our marriage like furniture, always there, didn't need attention. Rachel deserved better. She also deserved to ask for it instead of doing what she did. Both things can be true. Marcus came back into the picture in early 2022. I didn't know at first. Why would I? She mentioned she'd run into him at a conference. They worked in the same industry, and I nodded and went back to my laptop. A conference. Her ex-boyfriend from 15 years ago. So what? That was September. By November, she was texting him constantly. I noticed because she laughed at her phone, not texted, and smiled, laughed out loud. I couldn't remember the last time I'd made her laugh like that. I asked who she was talking to once. Just a friend from work. She didn't say Marcus, she said friend from work. The first lie, or the first one I caught. Here's what I've learned about suspicion. It doesn't arrive with certainty. It arrives as a feeling you immediately want to dismiss. I started noticing things in December. The phone face down on the nightstand. She'd always kept it face up. New passwords on her laptop. She bought new underwear, nice underwear, the kind she used to buy when we first dated. Not for me, I realized. She hadn't touched me in 6 weeks. I told myself I was paranoid. We'd been together over a decade. She wasn't the type. People always say that, not though there's a physical marker for infidelity. There isn't. Anyone is the type under the right circumstances. But I wanted to believe her, so I did. Until January. She said she had a work trip to Atlanta, 3 days, conference. I offered to drive her to the airport. She said her coworker was picking her up. I didn't think about it. Then that Friday I ran into her coworker at a gas station. Megan, we chatted for maybe 2 minutes. She mentioned she had the week off. Oh, I said, trying to sound casual. I thought you were in Atlanta with Rachel. Megan looked confused. Atlanta? No, I've been home. Haven't seen Rachel since Monday. I don't remember driving home. I must have, because I ended up in our driveway, engine running, staring at the garage door. My chest felt like someone was standing on it. She wasn't in Atlanta. I called her. She answered on the third ring, sounding annoyed. Hey, what's up? I'm about to go into a session. Where are you? I told you, Atlanta, the Marriott. She said it so easily, so smooth. I could hear city noise in the background. She was outside somewhere. Okay, I said, just wanted to hear your voice. Have a good session. I don't know why I didn't confront her then. Fear, probably. If I didn't say it out loud, it wasn't real. I could still believe she was at a conference, could still convince myself there was an explanation. I sat in the car for 45 minutes, then I went inside and poured a whiskey, then another. When she came home Sunday, she kissed my cheek and said she was exhausted. I watched her carry her suitcase upstairs, watched her unpack clothes that didn't look like conference clothes. Watched her normal, like she hadn't just spent 3 days doing whatever she'd been doing. I wanted to scream. Instead, I asked if she wanted pizza for dinner. Sure, she said, pepperoni's fine. We ate pizza on the couch, watched some Netflix show. She fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I didn't move for an hour because I was afraid if I did, I'd have to face reality. I know this is where people expect the detective montage. Hired a pie, found proof, got my revenge. That's not how it happened. For 2 weeks I did nothing, went to work, came home, ate dinner with my wife, made small talk, died slowly inside. I couldn't stop looking for signs though. Every time she smiled at her phone, every time she left the room to take a call, every time she said she was working late. I hated who I was becoming, paranoid, obsessive. Checking her location on Find My Friends, something I'd never done before. She was always where she said she'd be, which only made me feel crazy. Then one night I made a mistake, or I made a choice, depends how you look at it. She was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I looked at it without thinking. Marcus, last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you. My hands went cold, like actually cold, tingling. I should have looked away, should have respected privacy or whatever. Instead, I picked up the phone. She hadn't changed the passcode from our anniversary 0914, which felt like its own betrayal, still using our anniversary to hide from me. I scrolled. Hundreds of messages going back months, more than texts. This was a relationship, long conversations about their future, complaints about me, plans. One message from Rachel, I wish I'd never married him, you were always the one. I put the phone back, exact same position. My hands were shaking. When she came out of the bathroom, towel wrapped around her, she smiled and asked if I wanted to watch anything. I said I was tired, went to bed, lay in the dark for hours, replaying every message I'd seen. She climbed in next to me around 11, said goodnight. I didn't answer. I spent the next week in a fog. Everyone at work asked if I was okay. I said I was fighting a cold. My buddy James, who I play poker with sometimes, said I looked like shit. I told him I wasn't sleeping well. I didn't tell anyone, I don't know why. Shame maybe, or maybe I still hoped I was wrong. Maybe the messages were old, maybe she was ending it. Maybe if I confronted her she'd cry and apologize and we'd fix it. I came home early on a Thursday, told work I had a dentist appointment. Her car was in the driveway, his was parked on the street. A black BMW 3 Series. I'd looked him up. Marcus Whitmore, regional director for some tech company, made twice what I did, drove a nicer car, had all his hair. I sat in my car for maybe 3 minutes, staring at his BMW. Then I went inside. They were on the couch, not doing anything, just sitting, but close, too close. She was laughing at something he'd said. The same laugh I'd heard directed at her phone. When she saw me, her face changed. Surprise first, then something else. Annoyance. "You're home early. Dentist got cancelled." I looked at Marcus. He was handsome, confident. He looked at me like I was an inconvenience. "Who's this?" Rachel sighed, actually sighed like I was being difficult. "This is Marcus. We work together. He was just dropping off some files." I looked around. No files. "Right," I said, "files." Marcus stood up, adjusted his jacket, looked at Rachel, not me, when he spoke. "I should go. Text me later." She nodded. He walked past me toward the door, didn't say anything, didn't acknowledge that he was in my house, sitting with my wife, lying to my face. After he left, Rachel looked at me. "Don't start, Daniel." "Don't start what?" "Whatever you're thinking. We're just friends, coworkers. Friends who drop off files that don't exist." She stood up, crossed her arms. "I don't want to fight about this." "Then tell me the truth." "The truth is you're being paranoid, like always." She went upstairs. I stood in the living room. The couch cushions were still warm from where they'd been sitting. I didn't confront her that night or the next. I was stuck, knowing and not knowing, afraid of what would happen if I forced the conversation. March 14th, that Tuesday. I decided to confront her, had it all planned, sit her down after dinner. Calm, irrational. "I know about Marcus. I've seen the messages. I need you to tell me the truth." But she beat me to it. I was in the kitchen getting a beer. She was loading the dishwasher. Normal evening. ESPN in the background. Nothing unusual. Then she said it. "I'm seeing Marcus this weekend. You can either accept it and stay out of our way, or you can watch." "I don't care anymore, Daniel. I really don't." I remember the exact sound the dishwasher made when she pressed start. That mechanical hum. It felt impossibly loud. "What did you say?" She turned to face me, leaned against the counter. She didn't look angry or guilty or anything I expected. She looked tired, bored almost. "You heard me. I'm done pretending. Marcus is coming here Saturday. You can be gone or you can stay and watch. Your choice." "Are you?" My voice cracked. I hated that. "Are you serious right now?" "Completely. You're telling me you're going to, in our house, and I should just accept it?" She shrugged, one shoulder dismissive. "You've accepted everything else. You accepted me being unhappy for years. You accepted ignoring me for work. You accepted when I stopped wanting you. Why should this be different?" I put the beer down. My hands were shaking again. "Rachel, this is insane. You can't just. We're married. This is our home. A home you stopped caring about years ago. That's not fair." "Isn't it?" She took a step toward me. Her eyes were cold. I didn't recognize them. "When's the last time you really saw me, Daniel? When's the last time you asked about my day and actually listened? When's the last time we had a conversation that wasn't about bills or schedules or what to watch on TV?" I didn't have an answer. "Marcus sees me. He listens. He makes me feel like I exist." "So you're having an affair?" "I'm having a relationship. The affair started when you stopped being my husband." I laughed. I don't know why. Something about the logic, twisted but not entirely wrong, struck me as absurd. "So this is my fault?" "I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying I'm done. I've been done, and I'm not hiding anymore." She picked up her wine glass from the counter. "Saturday, your call." She walked past me up the stairs. I heard the bedroom door close. I stood in the kitchen for maybe 20 minutes. The dishwasher hummed. ESPN played a commercial for car insurance. Normal sounds of a normal house where something insane had just happened. I didn't sleep that night. Lay in the guest room. I wasn't going to sleep next to her, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation, trying to understand how we'd gotten here. She'd given me two choices, watch or leave. But there was a third option she hadn't considered. Or maybe she had, and that's what she wanted all along. I called a lawyer the next morning. James had used someone during his divorce. I got the number, made an appointment for that afternoon, didn't tell Rachel. Then I called James, asked if I could stay with him for a few days. He said yes without asking why, which is the mark of a real friend. When I came home that evening, Rachel was on the couch, texting probably Marcus. I thought about what you said, I told her. She looked up, curious maybe, like she was wondering which option I'd chosen. I'm not staying to watch and I'm not leaving so you can have your weekend. I set my wedding ring on the coffee table, it made a small sound against the glass. I'm leaving for good, you can have the house, have Marcus, have whatever you want, but not me, not anymore. Her face changed just for a second, something flickered, surprise, maybe regret, then it was gone. You're being dramatic. Probably, but I'm also being honest for the first time in months, maybe years. I picked up the bag I'd packed. My lawyer will contact you Monday. I walked to the door. Daniel, her voice was softer now, almost uncertain. Wait. I stopped. We should talk about this, I didn't mean. You gave me two choices, Rachel. I chose a third, you should have seen that coming. I left. Sat in my car in the driveway, waited to feel something, relief, anger, sadness. Instead, I felt numb, hollow, like I'd been running on adrenaline and it had finally run out. I drove to James's place. He opened the door, took one look at me and handed me a beer without saying anything. We watched basketball. I didn't cry until the third inning when I realized I'd been watching the wrong sport and nobody had corrected me. The next few weeks were a blur. I moved into a short-term apartment, 1 bedroom, minimal furniture, a view of the parking lot. It was the saddest place I'd ever lived and somehow that felt appropriate. Rachel texted me twice. First, can we talk? I didn't answer. Second, you don't have to do this. I didn't answer that either. My lawyer was efficient, filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. I could have pushed for fault, adultery was documented, but I didn't want to fight. I wanted out. The hardest part wasn't the legal stuff, it was the quiet. 11 years of sharing a home with someone and suddenly I was alone, no one to talk to when I came home. No sounds of someone else moving around, just silence. I'd catch myself doing things out of habit, buying her coffee creamer at the grocery store, setting 2 plates for dinner, reaching for my phone to text her something funny. Then I'd remember. The first week I was okay, survival mode, logistics, keep busy. The second week it hit me. I was watching TV, some cooking show she would have loved, and I started crying. Not like movie crying, ugly crying, snot and gasping and couldn't catch my breath. I was 41 years old, sitting on a folding chair in a sad apartment, crying about a woman who'd asked me to watch her sleep with someone else. I called my mom, told her what happened. She was quiet for a long time. Oh, sweetheart. That made me cry harder. I'm coming down there. You don't have to. I'm coming. She showed up 2 days later. Brought casseroles and clean sheets and that look moms have when their kid is hurting. We didn't talk about Rachel much, she just was there, made sure I ate, made sure I showered, made sure I didn't spend too long staring at walls. After she left, I started therapy. My therapist's name is David, mid-50s, calm voice, has this way of asking questions that makes you answer before you realize you're saying something important. First session he asked what brought me in. My wife told me I could watch her sleep with her ex or leave. I left. He nodded, like I'd said I was stressed about work. How do you feel about that? Which part? All of it. I laughed, confused, angry, relieved sometimes, sad most of the time, pathetic, ashamed. Ashamed of what? That I didn't see it coming, that I let it happen, that I wasn't enough. I paused. That part of me still loves her. We spent months unpacking that. The thing about therapy, real therapy, not just venting, is that it forces you to look at yourself, not just what was done to you, but what you did, what you didn't do. David helped me see my part, the emotional distance, the prioritizing work over marriage, the taking her for granted, the ignoring signs because the truth was too scary. You're not responsible for her choices, he said once, but you are responsible for the environment you helped create. That was hard to hear, but it was true. I also had to confront something uncomfortable. I'd been unhappy too, for years, but instead of doing something about it, I'd checked out, buried myself in work, let the marriage decay. We were both wrong, both responsible, both broken in different ways that somehow made us break each other. It didn't excuse what she did, Nothing excuses that ultimatum, that cruelty, but understanding my part helped me stop being just a victim, helped me see myself as someone who could do better next time. The divorce took 9 months, longer than it should have because Rachel kept stalling. At first I thought she was fighting it, then I realized she was just stuck. She didn't want to be married to me, but she also didn't want to let go. Maybe shame, maybe regret, maybe just inertia. We communicated through lawyers mostly. A few direct texts about practical things, selling the house, dividing furniture, closing joint accounts. One text stood out. I never meant for it to happen like this. I stared at it for a long time, typed several responses, deleted all of them, finally sent, I know. Because I did know she hadn't woken up one day and decided to destroy our marriage. It had been slow, both of us. 1,000 small choices that led to one terrible moment in a kitchen. That didn't make it okay, but it made it human. The house sold in August. We made a small profit, split evenly. I bought new furniture for a 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. She moved in with Marcus. My lawyer asked if I wanted to pursue anything related to the affair. It could have affected the settlement. No, I said, I just want it done. The divorce was finalized in December. 1 year after I'd first seen Marcus's text on her phone, I signed the papers at my lawyer's office. Rachel wasn't there, just her signature on the other copy. Walking out, I expected to feel something dramatic: freedom, closure, relief. Instead, I felt like I was leaving a dentist's office. Just done, one more thing checked off a list. I sat in my car and cried for about 5 minutes. Not because I was sad, or not only because I was sad, because it was over, all of it, the marriage, the pain, the waiting. Then I drove home and ordered Thai food. People ask if it gets easier. The honest answer is kind of. The first year after the divorce was complicated. Some days I felt strong, independent, like I was rediscovering who I was without her. Other days I'd hear a song from our wedding and have to pull over because I couldn't see the road through my tears. Triggers were everywhere: her favorite restaurant, the grocery store we used to shop at, married couples holding hands, anyone laughing at their phone. I went on a date 6 months in. Coworker set me up with her friend, nice woman, pretty, laughed at my jokes. I excused myself after an hour, sat in my car, and hyperventilated for 10 minutes. Wasn't ready. I focused on other things, started running, reconnected with friends I'd neglected. Took a woodworking class, built a very ugly shelf that I kept anyway because I'd made it. Therapy continued. David and I worked through the anger, then the sadness, then the part underneath both of those that I hadn't wanted to face, the loneliness. You were lonely in the marriage, he observed. You're lonely now, what's the difference? I thought about it. Now I know it's real. Before I was lying to myself. Which is harder? This, definitely this, but it's also cleaner, more honest. He nodded. I started sleeping better around month 8. The nightmares, dreams where she'd say the ultimatum again and again, became less frequent. I stopped waking up reaching for the other side of the bed. Small progress, but progress. A year and a half after the divorce, I ran into her. Trader Joe's, because of course. I was picking out avocados, she was in the frozen section. Our eyes met across the aisle of overpriced snacks. She looked okay, different, hair shorter, wearing clothes I didn't recognize. She was alone. We walked toward each other, that awkward dance of exes in public. Daniel, she smiled, small, uncertain. How are you? Good, you? Good, yeah, she gestured at my basket, still eating those frozen burritos. I laughed, couldn't help it, old habits. We talked for maybe 10 minutes. Surface stuff, my new job, her new apartment. Marcus was mentioned once. They'd broken up, apparently. I didn't ask for details, didn't want them. What struck me was how normal it felt, not comfortable exactly, but not agonizing. She was just a person, someone I used to know very well who I didn't know anymore. I'm sorry, she said as we were about to go our separate ways. For everything, the way it happened, I was in a bad place and I handled it terribly. I nodded. Yeah, you did. She flinched slightly. But I wasn't great either. It took me a while to see that, but I wasn't. I shifted my basket. We both messed up. Does that mean you forgive me? I thought about the question, thought about everything we'd been through, the love, the pain, the ultimatum that still sometimes kept me up at night. I don't know, I said honestly, but I'm not angry anymore, that's something. She nodded, her eyes were wet, that's something. We said goodbye, she went one way, I went another. I finished my shopping, drove home, put groceries away. Then I sat on my ugly handmade shelf and let myself feel sad for about 20 minutes. Not for what she did, but for what we'd lost, what we could have been if we'd both tried harder. Then I made dinner and watched a documentary about octopuses and fell asleep on the couch. Just another Tuesday, it's been 2 years since that ultimatum. I'm in a different place now, literally new apartment, new city, new job. Figuratively, I can go entire days without thinking about her, weeks sometimes. I'm dating someone, Lauren. We met at the woodworking class, which sounds like a rom-com setup but isn't. She's patient with me, which I need. Understands I'm still putting pieces back together, doesn't pressure, doesn't judge. We took it slow, really slow. First kiss was 4 months in. I was terrified to trust again, still am some days. But I'm trying. Therapy's down to once a month now. David says I've made good progress. I still have moments, triggers, flashbacks, sudden waves of grief, but they're smaller, less frequent, more manageable. The hardest thing I've had to accept is that it wasn't one person's fault. I mean, Rachel's ultimatum was cruel, unforgivable in a lot of ways. She made that choice and I have a right to be angry about it forever if I want. But the marriage that led to that moment, that was both of us. Years of turning away from each other, years of avoiding hard conversations, years of assuming we had more time. We didn't. I think about that a lot now, how time isn't guaranteed, how relationships need attention, how easy it is to let small problems become big ones because addressing them feels too hard. I'm trying to do better with Lauren, to be present, to listen, to say the hard things before they become impossible things. Some days I succeed, some days I catch myself drifting and I have to pull myself back. Progress isn't linear, neither is healing. If you're watching this and you've been through something similar, I don't have a neat lesson for you. I can't tell you this made me stronger because some days I don't feel strong at all. I can't tell you everything happens for a reason because that ultimatum didn't have a reason. It was just pain, just brokenness. What I can tell you is this: you're not crazy for still struggling. You're not weak for missing someone who hurt you. You're not stupid for not seeing the signs earlier. We do our best with what we know, then we know more, then we do better. Someone asked me recently if I'd do anything differently, looking back, knowing what I know now. Honestly, I'd have left earlier, not when she gave me the ultimatum, years before that, when I first noticed the distance, when I first felt like roommates instead of partners. I'd have either fought for the marriage then or admitted it was already over. Instead, I stayed, let it decay, let us both become people we didn't want to be. That's the part I carry, not her betrayal, my own denial. But I can't change the past. Neither can you. All we can do is take what we've learned and try not to repeat it. If you're in a relationship that feels broken, talk about it. Now, today, don't wait until someone gives you an ultimatum in front of the dishwasher. And if you're on the other side like me, trying to figure out what comes next, just keep going. Some days will be harder than others. Some days you'll feel like you'll never trust again. Then one day you'll wake up and realize you went a whole week without thinking about them. That's how it works, not a breakthrough, just gradual, messy, uneven progress. Anyway, that's my story, or part of it, the part I can tell. If you've been through something like this, if you're still in it, leave a comment. I'd like to know I'm not the only one still figuring this out. Take care of yourselves, seriously.